Hi, I'm Seb Chadwick, and today we're going to be talking about how to wax your surfboard. And we're also going to look at waxes, which is the right one for you. Depending on where you live will depend on the wax you got to buy. So stick around and check this out. Okay, so first of all, what is wax? Wax is a white substance like this. Sometimes has a scent, sometimes it doesn't. Sometimes it's very hard and some can be very soft. It just depends on which wax you buy. And you apply it to where your feet will be on this board, okay? In this instance, this board already has a tail pad. It's soft, it's grippy. I do not need to wax this area. So what I will be doing today is just waxing the front area where my front foot would be going, okay? Now this is a short board, so what I will only be waxing this area here. If I was waxing, say for instance, a long board or a mini Mao, I would be moving up and down the board, so I'd be waxing all the board in its entirety. I wouldn't just be going roughly where my front foot would be going, I'd do the entire board. Now, when you walk into a surf shop, there's a bunch of different waxes. You've got Sticky Johnson, you've got Sex Wax, you've got Far King, you've got FCS. These are just a few. Buy a couple of different brands and use them, and eventually you'll find the brand that works for you. Now, most importantly is that you buy a base coat. This is what goes on the board first before you apply your main wax. This wax is very hard and it's great for doing the outline and the initial wax grooves that the main wax is going to adhere to. Once you've applied a good amount of that, you're then going to apply the wax, which is, for your area. Now, if you're in Tassie, you're going to go a cool water wax. Cool water wax is a bit softer, so that way with the cold water, it still has some friction and will give you traction on the board. Now, if you head, say for instance, to New South Wales or the East Coast, then you're going to switch to a warm water wax. Okay, that's anything from around 19 degrees up to about 25. And if you're heading overseas to Indo, then you'd strip all that wax off and you'd put on a tropical wax. This is a wax that's extremely hard and it's mainly for temperatures of about 26, 27 and above. Now, having the right wax is really important. If you do go to Indo with like a cold water wax, all the little lumps of wax that you've put on your board, which give you traction, they're going to melt, they're going to flatten out, and eventually you're going to have to strip the wax and start again. If you're not sure what your local water temperature is, then jump online, check it out, then head to the surf shop, look at the side of the boxes of the wax you're going to buy, and it'll tell you it's either a cool water wax, warm water wax, or for tropical water, and I'll tell you for the water range that you should be using it in. So just make sure you match the wax with the temperature of your local surf break or where you're going to be surfing. Okay, so let's get started. Now you've got your board, it's all clean, all ready to be waxed. Make sure any old wax has been removed, there's any dirt and debris that's off, and then you want to mark out the area that you're going to wax, okay? If you're new to surfing and you're not too sure where you have to wax, if you have a short board like this, then you're going to be waxing just this area. As I said, if you've got a Mao or a long board, you're going to wax the entire board because you're going to be moving up and down the board. Now, if you've got yourself a short board and you only want to wax the area where your front foot is going, the easiest way to mark that out is to put the board on the ground, stand next to it, and put your feet in the position just next to your board, and then mark out where your front foot is. Alright, so put your board on the ground, stand next to it like this, put your rear foot on the tail pad and your front foot, mark out on the board roughly where it'll be in line, and then sometimes when you pop up, your foot's a little bit further forward or a little back, so you want to make sure that you wax this entire area so that your foot, no matter if it's a bit further forward, a bit further back, that there's wax underneath it to give you traction. So now that you've marked your board out from here to here, across there and there, this area here is where we want to put the wax, okay? Now, the best way and the easiest way to apply wax to your board is to start at one corner of the area you've marked off and start running diagonal lines like this. Some people prefer them about 1 inch apart. I like them to be about 1 centimetre apart, and that way when I put the top coat of wax on it, I have lumps that will be much closer together, as that's what I feel comfortable when I'm surfing. Some people prefer to have just a little bit of wax. Some people prefer to have a lot. It's up to you. It's a personal preference. So as you do this, have a look at the little squares that you're making, and if they're too far apart, bring them closer together. but just keep running them down the board diagonally like this, and what that'll do is when you put the soft wax over the top of it, it's going to stick to the harder wax and it's going to give you a really good wax job. Now once we've done the diagonal lines and we've waxed out our area, you can go over those lines 1 or 2 times, that's no drama. Once you've done that, you've got a good foundation for your softer wax to go on. Now make sure you're using the wax that's suitable for the water that you're going to be surfing in. In my instance, it's a warm water wax, okay? So once you've got your bar, you then run it up and down the board like this, and as you do that, the softer wax is going to stick to the harder wax, okay? And you can do this like this. Now to wax a board can take anywhere from a few minutes up to 10 minutes. It just depends on how much wax you want to put on your board. Some people like a little, I love a lot. I like a good 2 bars of wax on my board so that underneath my feet I can feel the lumps of wax, and it gives me confidence when I'm surfing. So now I'm going to do this until the board is waxed. Alright, there we go. Putting wax can be a bit of a workout. It can take about, let's say, 3 minutes up to about 10 minutes. Depends how much wax you want to put on the board. Now, one last thing. This area up here we've waxed. Just put a little bit of wax up the front here where your hands would go on the side of the board for when you push yourself up. That way your palms have got something to grip onto, and when you push yourself up, your hands won't slide off the board. Every time you take your board out, I always put a fresh coat of wax on, just like this, chuck it on there. Maybe even run my wax comb through it just to give me some grip in the wax. That's up to you. And I'll use this wax for probably about 3 or 4 months, and then once it starts to lose its shape, consistency, I will then strip it and I'll reapply some new wax. Alright, so let's just take a look at the finished job. As you can see, I've used about 1.5 bars. There's plenty of wax on there, lots of little wax lumps for my foot to get traction on. This is what you're aiming for. And as I say, every time you go surfing, you're going to add just a little bit more on top of that, and it's going to feel really good underfoot. Now, if you've bought a board and it comes with wax on it, it's old and you want to remove it, or you've just used your board for 6 months and you want to change the wax, there's a couple of ways to do it. One, you can remove it with a wax comb. That's one of these things you get from the surf shop. One edge has got like a comb which you use to help put grooves in your wax, and the other end has got a flat line, and you'll use that and you'll run it along your board to scrape the wax off. Alternatively, I use a window scraper. It comes off much easier, much quicker, and I find that I don't have like a shiny residue left on the board once I've run it through 1 or 2 times. So to remove the wax, grab your wax comb. I would hold it this way so that you got the short edge there, and then I would just run it down the board like so and remove the wax like that. As I said, I often use a window scraper. I find these really easy and effective, and just the wax comes off really easily and doesn't leave too much of a shine where the wax has been. This will take probably a minute to do, and then once you've prepared and removed all the wax, you can then apply a new coat of wax. Alright, that's it for me. Thanks for watching. If you've got any questions, chuck in the comments below. If you like the video, give us a thumbs up, and remember to subscribe and you'll see more of these videos in your feed. Thanks guys.